Hi guys, welcome and welcome back to the channel. It is your girl Tay and I am back with another video on this channel. Listen y'all, I am coming back to you all with another video and I'm super excited about this video today. We're going to be talking about how God actually changed my life over the course of years. And y'all, I don't know about you, but I am super grateful and I'm super thankful for what God has done in me, through me, and for me. And I am going to be sharing with you all today some of the things that God has done for me. So I am excited. If you are excited, please stick around to hear the marvelous things that God has done for me. I want to start off by first saying that I grew up in church, so I knew all about the church background. I must state that I had the religion part down. I knew how to go to church. I knew the acts. I knew what to do. I knew what to say when you're going to church and everything. But I didn't have a real relationship with Christ. My relationship with Christ was the fact that I knew of him, but I didn't know him. I didn't have him in my heart. So my ways were not pleasing to him. I would lie. I have ways of the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, the pride of life. All of that was still in my heart because I did not have a real intimate relationship with him. I would pray sometimes, I would go to church sometimes, but I wasn't as consistent. And once again, I wasn't fully surrendered in my life. I was going throughout high school, and then in high school, I didn't really have a full understanding of who I was. So I would just try to pretend to be somebody who God never destined for me to be. So I will be hanging around wrong people, wrong friends, toxic relationships, in a lot of drama. I'm still going to church at this time, y'all. I never stopped going to church. Around this time, my going to church was only the basic. I went to church. I checked it off my list. It was something that I would just check off my list. It was nothing that was really intimate. I just went just to say I went to church. And so I would go to church, but I would still go home and I would still leave the same way that I came. I had so much baggage. I had so much hurt on the inside and didn't know how to fully surrender that over to Christ. And so many things that God had to come in and heal me from. And I was carrying all of these things around, and I was carrying hurt, I was carrying brokenness, daddy issues. All of these things were bottled up on the inside of me. And so because of this, because I didn't know who I was, because I didn't have purpose, or I didn't have any form of understanding of who God ordained me to be, I went out and I just continued to do the same things that I was doing. And so this led all the way up into college. During this time in college, I was going to college parties. I remember being in this friend group. She would invite me out different, and I had nothing in me to say, oh no, I'm not going. But I was willing to go. So I would go to different college parties that her college was having. I would find myself drinking. I would find myself in toxic environments, in toxic relationships, different friend groups that did not mean me any good. And so this is where I was in college. And I began to see that in college where the enemy wanted to even stop me from attending church. And this is where the enemy wanted to attack me the most. He wanted to attack me in the mind. He wanted to attack and steal everything that God had ordained for me. And so I started to get depressed. This is where depression kicked in because I didn't know who I was. And so things in my life, although I had the job, I had the money, I thought I had the so-called friends, I thought I had the so-called relationship that I desired, all of these things, I had them. However, I still felt an emptiness on the inside, and I could not explain to the world what I was feeling. So I would oftentimes find myself, when I am alone, home all by myself, depressed. I just find myself days laying in the bed in the dark, and I could not explain to anyone else what I was feeling because myself didn't know what I was feeling. You have this job, I'm making money that I want to make and everything, but there is no peace, there was no joy, there was nothing. I was depressed. I had so much anxiety. I was so worried about keeping up with prestige, keeping up with the new trends, and keeping up, and everything about me became vain, right? And so I even got in a place in my life where I became a bit selfish. And so in this point in my life, God began to script different things for me. And I think this was right in the middle of COVID, where there was less activities that were going on. We couldn't really be around friends. We couldn't really go out. And during this time, I actually got a real I really got I believe that this is a time and this is a period where God just began to come in and to show me. And so I remember this one Sunday, I felt so empty inside. I felt so depressed and I had so much anxiety, y'all. It was so bad. And so I remember this one time I was laying in bed Sunday morning, and like I said, remember, the enemy tried his best to even keep me from going to church, right? So I was laying in bed one Sunday morning. I was depressed, and so I got up and something said go to church. And so I remember this Sunday morning, I went to church all by myself, not knowing that this would be the start of my walk with Christ. I went to church Sunday morning and I felt an encounter from God. I had already, prior to going to church this morning, I had already been praying to God, already been seeking Him, because I found myself in a very dark place. I got to a place where I was losing friends, and then I lost my job. And so this actually was an eye opener for me. I started losing everything around me, and I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, something is going on. So once everything started kind of looking a little shaky, I realized that I had lost my way. I lost my way in a sense. And so I got up that morning and I went to church and I began to just pray and I cried out to the Lord because I was so deep in depression, y'all. It was so dark for me. So I went to church and I felt better when I left. And so I didn't stop there, y'all. I kept going. I kept every morning. It started off small, but then God began to gradually give me what I needed. Every morning I tried to journal and at least said a 5-minute prayer. And so I began to grow my relationship right there with prioritize Him in the mornings, and then I began to just worship Him. And y'all, it wasn't perfect. Even with me going back to church, even with me putting Him first in the morning, it's still, I had some work to do. There was some work that needed to be done, and I couldn't do it on my own. So I had to pray. And so one of my prayers that I will state that I held on to was, Lord, give me a hunger and a thirst after your righteousness. Y'all, this prayer that I prayed to God, any two times I felt myself drifting away from Him, any two times I felt my spiritual life drying up, I've prayed this prayer and I begin to hunger and thirst for God like never before. I begin to hunger for the prayer life. I begin to thirst for the word. And I will literally begin to hunger for the things of God and not for the things of this world. And so that, I would say, that prayer, that scripture really changed the trajectory of my relationship with Christ. And another one I would state is, Lord, help me to fall in love with you, because honestly, I was so in love with the things of this world that the love of Christ was not in me. And there was no room for Him. So I had to make room for Him. So the more that I fell in love with Christ, I fell out of love with the things of this world. The more I fell out of love with the things of this world. So I was, at one point in my life, I was so vain. I was so worried about my looks. I was so worried about what I had to wear, what I was going to put on. And God had to strip me from all of these things. He had to let me know that your identity and your purpose is not tied to what you have, or to what you have, the things that you wear, the relationship that you're in, the friend group that you're in. Is not your identity, and your purpose is not tied to these things. So He had to strip me from all of these things to let me know that I know the thoughts that I think toward you, and the thoughts of peace and not of evil. So sometimes God has to literally, y'all, strip you of everything that you thought you were, just to rebuild you into who you are actually meant to be. So I want you to be encouraged today. Today marks 5 years of me walking in my relationship with Christ. It has not been perfect, but I promise you it's been worth it. The peace that I've gained since walking with Christ, I would not trade it for a thing in this world. I no longer suffer with depression, all because I made a decision to walk with Christ. I made a decision to give God a yes and to fully surrender to His will. So that oppression It don't have me bound. And even when it tries to come and sneak its way up, there is something on the inside of me, y'all, that it doesn't even faze me. When the enemy tries to whisper thoughts like you don't have this and you don't have that, it doesn't faze me because I know that I have a treasure that this world cannot even get, that this world can't give me. I have my joy, I have peace, and that is more than what the world can give you. That is more than what this world can give you. So I want to encourage you that if you started your walk with Christ, don't give up. If it seems like you're making small steps, don't throw in the towel there. Don't give up there, because even that one small step, even that one yes that you give God, it may seem small to you, but God is a God who can take little and do much with. Okay, let me say that again. God is a God who can take, if you put it in his hands, if you give him that little that you have, he can do and make much with it. He can do a lot with that little that you think you have. So don't think that, oh, I just have this little prayer. Whatever you have to give God, whatever it is, just surrender it to him. Give it to him. Don't worry about how it's going to work out. Don't worry about fixing yourself or taking things away from yourself, because you're never going to be able to do it. I would have never been able to take the depression away. I would have never been able to take myself out of anxiety, or to remove the lying that I was doing, to remove the darkness, the pride of life that was on the inside, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes. I would have never been able to remove those things from myself, but it took something greater, something bigger. It took Jesus Christ coming in and removing those things away from me. It took him, and I know that his word is true, because he says, he which hath begun a good work in me will perfect it until the day of Jesus Christ. So guess what? If he starts it, then he's going to finish it. Don't worry about failing. Don't worry about those who are wanting you to fail or looking for you to fail, because anything that God starts, he's going to finish it. Yes, it may be bumpy along the way. Yes, you may have to cry sometimes. Yes, you may not fully understand what God is doing in you, through you, and for you. But trust me, if he starts something, he is not going to leave you in shame. So I want to encourage you today to stay focused and make sure to keep your eyes on God. If you've started your relationship with Christ, be encouraged. Let this video encourage you today. Keep moving, keep going. Let's grow in grace, because that's what this relationship is about. Because it's more about relationship. It's more about your intimacy relationship with Christ. Because as you can tell from my testimony, is that you can go to church. Yes, you can. And you can leave out the same way that you came as well, if you do not fully surrender to God. If you do not fully give him your yes, you're going to leave out the same way that you came in. And we don't want that. I didn't want it anymore. I got to a point in my life where I was like, I want to know this God. I want to know this Jesus. I want to encounter him for myself. I want to feel this peace, this joy that you all are talking about. If you have not started your relationship with Christ, I want to encourage you to give God your yes, whether it be the smallest things. Give him your yes. Fully surrender to Christ and watch what God does through and for you. Watch what he does for you. Watch what he does through you. Because he says that whatever he starts, he's going to finish it. So there is nothing for us to do, because Jesus Christ has done it all. It's up to God to finish that work. And guess what? He's going to finish it.